Welcome to the FWOT Show on the Coil Entertainment Network, pointing out idiocy one story at a time. I'm Rob Steele, that's Jesus Jones in the background, and yes, there is a date for the new album, April 20th. It's called Passages. It sounds good, but now we've got to get to the show. And that might be the last of the good news we've got. This past Friday, Frank Alvrich died. Now, some of you may not know who that is. You probably know his character, though. Bozo the Clown, who was a fixture in Chicago for many, many years. Eventually got a morning TV show on WGN when cable TV started, so a lot of people know who Bozo the Clown is. Or I suppose I should say was. I mean, Frank Alvrich started playing the role in 1959. That's a long time to be one clown. But he was 89 years old, died of heart failure, which is very sad. And the first time I noticed that this story came out was a post on Facebook that said, Bozo the Clown has died. And the first comment on it I saw was, that's great. When does Mike Pence get sworn in? Wow. That might be the best thing to come out of the White House this week, because things just aren't going well there. It might sound like things are going well there when you hear things like Trump's approval rating is the highest it's been in 18 months. That sounds like it could be good, right? Except it's 42%. That's not even up to the number of president he is. That's not good. And it comes from really simple things. Like, let's say, the bombings in Austin, Texas, which are not a good thing. They caught the guy, though. And one thing they refused to say about him is that he was a terrorist. A quote from Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the press secretary, "There is no apparent nexus to terrorism at this time." Now, first off, I'm going to say $20 says Sarah looked at a picture of this white guy with really short hair and said, "Nexus to terrorism? Of course he doesn't need that kind of hair care product." No, Sarah. Nexus means a connection to different things. Now, back to the dick who's blowing things up. He was identified as a devout Christian. Therefore, the White House refuses to call this white boy, whose name I'm not going to mention, because he doesn't deserve it. They refuse to call him a terrorist, because the title is reserved for Muslim extremists of a brown color. Except, no, it doesn't. A terrorist, by definition, is someone who brings terror. He was bombing people. That makes them terrified, thus bringing terror. He is a terrorist. Period. There is no question about this. And if he's not a terrorist, what is he? Huh? Don't have an answer for that, do you, Sarah Huckabee? Sarah doesn't have an answer for anything. I don't think anyone in the Republican Party does. I mean, look at Rick Santorum. He's not even in office anymore, but still has an appearance on Fox News, which is really the Republican channel if you haven't noticed yet. Rick Santorum says that the children who are protesting the gun thing in Washington, D.C., saying that we need to have fewer guns, must get rid of the guns because we're tired of dying in the schools. Santorum says, and I'll quote here again, "How about kids, instead of looking to someone else to solve their problem, do something about maybe taking CPR classes or trying to deal with situations that when there is a violent shooter, that you can actually respond to that?" Well, Dick, maybe they prefer the idea of not having to be put into that situation in the first place. You twat. A lot of them do take CPR classes. You know what? I used to register people to take CPR classes when I worked for the American Red Cross, and most of the people who were not employed at a government office were kids who wanted to learn. So, Rick, kids know CPR. As for looking for someone else to solve their problem, they're not allowed to be in the Senate or Congress or president yet. What the hell do you expect them to do? Oh, that's right. You're a Republican. You expect them to roll over and die in their schools. Now, someone who's trying to make a positive impression is a guy named David Hogg. I know very little about him. He was supposed to have been one of the students at the school in Florida where the shooting happened. He's in favor of banning semi-automatic rifles, but doesn't think that students should be forced to wear see-through backpacks to see if they're sneaking rifles into the school. I get that. Why should everyone have to wear see-through backpacks? Can you fit a semi-automatic rifle into a see-through backpack? No, you can't. It's too big. Well, then why do you need a see-through backpack? Let's also think about the see-through backpacks thing, which was proposed. Children must all wear see-through backpacks so we can see if they have guns. Who is the biggest manufacturer of see-through backpacks? JanSport. Who is JanSport owned by? People who fund the Republican Party. Very interesting. No, it's not. We already knew that. So, Hogg also said that the kids of today have to take the government from the stupid adults who don't know how to use it. Now, the argument I saw against that was, we adults have to take the Tide Pods away from the kids because some of them are so stupid they eat them. You know what? That's the same argument we're making against the guns. Some kids are stupid enough to eat Tide Pods, so you take them away. I get that. Some people are stupid enough to use guns for the only use they have. Destroying things and killing people. Same thing, really. So we should take them away. Hello? It's the same argument. And you're making it. Now, the controversy comes in with David Hogg because some people say he wasn't in class at the time of the Florida shooting. He was miles away at home and came on his bike to become a sensationalist reporter like everyone else at Fox News. Where do you think he got the idea from? Who cares where he came from? Who cares where he was? The message is the same. There needs to not be guns around to be brought into schools to kill the children. The results are the same no matter where he was. The ammosexuals don't seem to be open-minded enough to listen to anyone anyway. I mean, I honestly would like to know what it would take to get them to realize that children are being killed by something you don't need. You don't need guns. But Rob, if we have to oppose the government, they're gonna you with a tank. They have drones that can shoot missiles. I'm held up in my house with my AK-47 and my AR-15, and if the government comes, what's that whistling noise? Oh dear. That's right. Blown the up by a drone missile. They don't need to come to your house and shoot you. They can do it from long range with a Nintendo controller. And you don't need a gun. You need air. Even though they're trying to get rid of the EPA. You need food. I don't have anything for this. You need water. Flint, Michigan doesn't have one of those already. But they do have guns? You don't need a gun. How are you going to get water with a gun? Seriously. You can't, can you? Now, we may not have to ultimately depend on our government to do anything about this. There's a gun company called Remington. I'm not sure if they're the same people who make the razors, but, they still filed for bankruptcy because gun sales are going down. For their guns anyway. So you know what? Good. I consider that a very good start. And now for a story that just goes to show you just how inept our government is. Not just on the gun thing, this is a drug thing. There's a town called Williamson, West Virginia, just across the border from Kentucky. Yeah, small town. Coal mining town, which explains why there's only 3,000 residents. Coal mining kills. That's not this story. Despite the small size, NPR is reporting that an investigation by the House Committee on Energy and Commerce has shown that 20 million 800,000 prescription painkillers,
opioids,
have been sent to 2 pharmacies in this town that are just 4 blocks apart between 2008 and 2015. Now, could this be part of a big drug ring where the drugs are distributed across the country and sold illegally? We don't know, because the House Committee on Energy and Commerce report only says, and I'll quote, "The volume appears to be far in excess of the number of opioids that a pharmacy in that local area would be expected to receive." That's it. Nothing on what to do with it. Nothing on how to get rid of the opioid problem in the country. Just a lot of ineptitude. Not even working with the DEA. Yeah, Drug Enforcement Agency. You'd think they'd be working together, but they're not. Because our government doesn't know how to work with itself. Other companies work with other companies, and they seem to do fine. Even the WWE, who has been notorious for being, frankly, pissy about any other wrestling company working anywhere near them. No, next week, if you're a wrestling fan, you're going to want to be in New Orleans. Because on April 1st, Ring of Honor, a competitor of WWE, is doing a pay-per-view called Card of Honor. On April 5th, Impact Wrestling is teaming up with Lucha Underground to do a big "we're having our companies face each other" pay-per-view. April 6th, the WWE is doing their Hall of Fame because on April 8th is WrestleMania, the biggest wrestling pay-per-view in the history of ever. Usually, if another company tries to come where the WWE is having WrestleMania, they'll sue them. No, this is our venue this week. They don't even like it when wrestlers switch companies and try to use the name that they used in the WWE. Nope, we copyrighted it and we're going to sue you if you use it. Look up the Dudley Boys if you don't know what that means. This year, they're not exactly working together, but the WWE isn't suing them. Figuring out bipartisanism. It's not that hard. It's called sharing your toys. We learned that in kindergarten. You twits. If you have any comments, questions, or story ideas for the show, contact me at rob@thefwotshow.com or head to the FWOTshow.com website where there's buttons for Facebook and Twitter and email. There's even a button for the FWOT shop where you can pick up a coffee mug or a t-shirt or a hat. All of the proceeds go to support the Coil Entertainment Network, and we appreciate your support. While you're there, subscribe to the show through the Google Play Store or iTunes or YouTube. Yeah, that's right, YouTube. It's not the best video in the world, but then again, I've seen some of the other crap that's on there anyway. Moving on, I'm going to leave you with this. Milwaukee health officials recently reported a rise in HIV and other STDs for their city. They don't really know what caused it. Well, that's their claim. I think it's amazing what happens when you close Planned Parenthood and free clinics. No one to distribute condoms might actually lead to an outbreak of STDs and HIV. Who knew? Except people with active brain cells. Yeah. Your government at work, people. Until next time, be safe and don't eat the Tide Pods.